The hook-opening suspense the station was alive with noise. Traders shouted prices, machines hummed, and neon signs flickered in the smoke-filled air. But in one corner, under a broken light, stood a girl who did not belong. She was small, thin, and strange-looking. Her skin carried a faint silver glow, her eyes too large, too bright to be human. And where her left leg should have been, there was nothing but a torn, rusted brace of metal. The girl did not cry. She did not beg. She simply stood there, silent, holding up a crude sign written in shaky letters, "For sale." People slowed down when they saw her. Some laughed. Some looked away. Others whispered to each other. "An alien girl?" One merchant muttered. "Broken. Already worthless. No one will buy that," another sneered. But still, she waited. Hours passed. The crowd came and went. And she stood there as if her life depended on it because it did. Her name was unknown to most. The traders did not care to ask. To them, she was just another refugee, another piece of living cargo left behind after the last war. Entire colonies had been wiped out. And she was one of the survivors, if you could call it survival. The missing leg told her story better than words. It was lost in fire, in a battle she never asked for. Since then, every step was pain. Every move was struggle. She had no family left, no home, no money. But she had one thing. A dream. She wanted a leg again. Not flesh, not bone. Those were gone forever. She wanted a prosthetic, a machine leg that could carry her forward, let her run again, fight again, live again. But prosthetics cost credits, and she had nothing. Nothing but herself. So she made her choice. She would sell what little she had her own life. The crowd circled her, amused. "Look at her," one man said. "She can't even walk. What would anyone do with her?" "Throw her in the mines," another laughed. She'd break in a day. She heard them all, every cruel word. Still, she did not lower the sign. Her silver eyes stayed fixed on the market ahead, steady, unblinking. She would not give up. Not now, not ever. Because inside her chest, behind, her broken body was something more, something even she did not understand yet. A fire waiting to burn. The market lights dimmed as night approached. Traders packed their stalls. The crowd grew thin. And still no one came forward. Her arms trembled from holding the sign for so long. Her body ached. She was hungry, thirsty, exhausted. But worse than all of that was the silence. No one wanted her. No one believed she had any value. The thought stabbed deep into her heart. Maybe they were right. Maybe she was nothing. For a moment, her sign dipped lower. Her knees shook. She almost gave in. And then, footsteps. Heavy boots on metal floor. Slow, steady. Each step echoed louder than the market noise. She lifted her head. A man approached through the shadows. Human, tall, broad, with a face marked by scars. He wore dark armor scratched by countless battles. A weapon hung at his side, but his eyes cold, sharp were the weapon she feared most. The crowd noticed. Him too. Whispers spread. That's him. The mercenary? Some stepped back. Others leaned closer, eager to see what he would do. The man stopped in front of her. For a long moment, he said nothing. He just looked at her from head to broken leg, then back to her silver eyes. The girl's heart pounded. Everyone else had. Looked at her with disgust, pity, or laughter. But this man's gaze was different. It was calculating, measuring. Searching, she tried to stand taller, though pain burned through her body. She raised the sign again, forcing her voice to speak. For the first time, "I am for sale," she whispered. Her words trembled. But she made them clear. The mercenary tilted his head. Silence stretched between them. Then he asked, voice low and rough, "Why?" The question caught her off guard. No one else had asked. No one cared, but he had. Her throat tightened. She wanted to explain, to tell him everything that she wanted. A leg that she wanted to fight again, that she wasn't useless. But the words stuck, so instead, she simply said, "I need a prosthetic leg." The mercenary's eyes narrowed. For a moment, his face betrayed nothing. And then, almost too quietly to hear, he muttered, "Interesting." He reached into his coat. The crowd leaned in. Was he about to laugh? Throw money just to mock her? Or worse, the girl braced herself. Her heart raced faster, her stomach tight. With fear. But what came next, no one expected. The mercenary pulled out a single credit chip and dropped it into her shaking hand. The crowd gasped. He turned to the traders and spoke. Voice hard as steel. "She's mine." And just like that, everything changed. The alien girl who had been unwanted, broken, forgotten, has been chosen. But chosen for what? No one knew, not even her. Her secret and struggle. The deal was made in seconds, but its meaning would last far longer. The mercenary had spoken only 2 words, "She's mine." And with that, the crowd scattered, muttering in disbelief. The alien girl lowered her sign slowly. Her hands trembled, not from weakness, but from something she had not felt in a long time. Fear mixed with hope. Someone had finally bought her. But why? She followed him carefully, dragging her broken frame across the metal floor. Her missing leg made each step clumsy, painful. The mercenary slowed his pace just enough for her to keep up. He did not offer help, nor a kind word. His silence was louder than the noise of the station. They reached a quiet chamber far from the market. The air smelled of oil and dust. Dim light glowed from broken lamps. It was not a home. It was a place for survival. Weapons leaned against the wall. Maps were scattered on the table. The girl stood uncertainly by the doorway, afraid to enter. "Sit," the mercenary ordered, his voice deep and final. She lowered herself onto a cracked chair, her body aching from the day's torment. Her eyes followed his movements as he removed his gloves. His hands were rough, scarred like his face. This was not a man who lived in peace. This was a man who lived in war. For a long moment, neither spoke. The silence pressed down, heavy and sharp. Finally, he asked, "What is your name?" The question startled her. People had called her many things: broken girl, crippled alien, useless thing. But her true name, no one had cared enough to ask. She whispered, "Lyra." He nodded once. "Lyra, why sell yourself for a leg? Why not beg? Why not steal?" Her silver eyes darkened. Memories clawed their way back into her mind. Flames, screams, the thunder of warships tearing her colony apart. "I tried," she said quietly. "I begged. I was beaten. I stole. They cut off my food. No one would help. No one wanted a refugee. No one wanted me." Her voice cracked. She hated the sound of it. Weak, small, but she could not stop. "They told me I was worthless, broken, so I thought. Maybe I could be useful to someone. If I sold myself, maybe I could get the credits for a prosthetic leg. Maybe then I could walk again. Maybe then I could fight." The mercenary studied her face. His expression was unreadable, carved from stone. "Fight." He repeated, "You want to fight?" Lyra lifted her chin. Though her body was broken, her eyes burned bright. "Yes," she said. "I don't want pity. I don't want to be carried. I want to stand again. I want to live. Even if I must fight for every breath." The mercenary leaned back, arms folded. For a long moment, he said nothing. His silence made her heart pound faster. Then, at last, he spoke. "You are not useless." That words struck her harder than any insult she had ever heard. She froze. She had waited so long to hear them, she almost did not believe they were real. But before relief could settle, he continued, "Not useless, but unprepared. A broken body is not the end, but a weak mind. That is death." His words were not kind. They were harsh, sharp, like a blade cutting through hope. Yet they were true. She knew it. Her fists clenched. "Then teach me. Help me." The mercenary's eyes narrowed, as if testing her soul. "You think strength is given. No, it is taken. Every scar I wear, I earned. Are you ready to earn yours?" Lyra's heart thumped. The memory of fire and screams flashed again. She remembered the ones who died while she crawled through the ruins, dragging her broken body, too weak to save anyone. Her voice rose stronger. "Yes, I am ready." The mercenary finally stood. His shadow stretched across the room, heavy and cold. He walked to a chest in the corner and pulled it open. Inside, strange tools gleamed, half weapons, half machines. He set one on the table. It looked like a training staff, but built of metal wires and glowing circuits. "Then prove it," he said. "Hold this." Lyra reached out, fingers trembling, and gripped the staff. It was heavy, far heavier than her small arms expected. The weight nearly pulled her down, but she held it, jaw tight. The mercenary watched silently. Then he gave a single nod. "You have fire. Fire without strength is just smoke, but with time, cake can burn." That night, as the market outside went, dark Lyra lay on a cold floor, her body aching. But for the first time in years, her heart did not ache with despair. Someone had seen her. Someone had not laughed. Someone had given her a chance. Her secret was no longer hidden. She was not selling herself because she was weak. She was selling herself because she was ready to rise. And though she did not yet know it, her struggle was only beginning. Somewhere in the shadows of the galaxy, forces stirred. Enemies moved. And the broken alien girl, with one missing leg and a fire in her chest, was about to become more dangerous than anyone could imagine. The cold reality morning came slowly in the trade station. The air was heavy with smoke from broken engines. And the buzz of voices returned as merchants prepared for another day of business. But for Lyra, this day was not like the others. She woke on the cold floor of the mercenary's chamber, her body stiff and aching. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she saw the scarred armor resting against the wall. The maps scattered across the table, and she remembered someone had bought her. Someone had chosen her. The mercenary was already awake. He sat sharpening a blade, the metal ringing softly in the dim light. His expression was hard, his eyes unreadable. "You're awake," said, without looking up. "Yes," she whispered. He slid the blade back into its sheath. "Then get up. Today, you learn." Lyra's heart jumped. She had expected kindness. Maybe food, maybe a promise of safety. Instead, his words were sharp, a command, not a comfort. She pushed herself up, wobbling on her one leg, bracing on the wall for balance. The absence of her missing limb burned more sharply than usual, as if the world itself wanted to remind her what she lacked. The mercenary watched her struggle. He did not offer help. "Remember this," he said. "No one will wait for you. Number one will slow down for you. If you fall behind, you die. That is the cold truth." His words struck her harder than stone. She had lived this truth before when her colony burned, when her people screamed, when she crawled through the ruins alone. She nodded slowly. "I understand." He tossed her a small piece of bread and a cup of water. "Eat. then we move. She devoured the bread, dry and hard, but it filled her stomach. The water cooled her throat. For the first time in days, she felt a spark of strength. When she finished, he stood and strapped on his weapons. Follow. They walked through the station's back corridors, past flickering lights and broken pipes. The further they went, the quieter it became. Finally, they reached an abandoned cargo bay. Rusted crates were scattered across the floor. The walls were lined with old machinery, silent and forgotten. This is where you begin, the mercenary said. He pointed to a tall crate in the corner. Climb it. Lyra froze. The crate stood nearly twice her height. Her missing leg made even walking a challenge. Climbing. Impossible. I can't, she whispered before she could stop herself. The mercenary's eyes narrowed. Can't, that word is death. Try, her chest tightened. The eyes of the market still haunted her, those who had laughed, those who had turned away. She remembered their voices, useless, broken, worthless. If she failed here, if she gave up now, maybe they had been right all along. She limped to the crate. She placed her hands on the rough surface, pulled, and slipped. Pain shot through her body as she hit the ground. The mercenary did not move. He did not comfort her. He only said, again. Her arms shook, her palms scraped, but she tried again. She pulled harder, her teeth clenched, sweat dripping down her silver skin. Again she slipped, again she fell. Again, he repeated. Minutes turned to hours. Her body screamed. Her breath grew ragged. Her arms trembled so badly she could barely hold the crate. But each time she fell, she stood again. The mercenary's expression never changed. He watched, silent, testing. Finally, with one last burst of strength, she dragged herself onto the top of the crate. Her chest heaved, her limbs burned, but she had done it. She looked down at him, waiting for praise. Instead, he simply said, "Good. Now climb down." Her heart sank. There would be no celebration, no gentle words. This was her reality now. Fight, fail, rise, repeat. As she slid back to the floor, her body collapsed from exhaustion. She pressed her forehead against the cold metal, gasping for breath. The mercenary knelt beside her at last. His voice was low, but steady. This is the cold reality, Lyra. The galaxy will not bend for you. It will crush you. If you want to live, you must crush it first. She closed her eyes, tears burning at the edges. But she forced herself not to cry. Not here, not now, because she understood. His harshness was not cruelty, was survival. Later. That night, as the station lights flickered out, Lyra lay awake, her body aching. But inside her chest, the fire burned hotter. For years, she had believed the whispers, the cruel words, broken, useless, weak. But today, she had climbed. Today, she had proven, even if only to herself, that she could rise. The mercenary's voice echoed in her mind. A broken body is not the end, but a weak mind, that is death. She was broken, yes. But her mind was not weak, and soon the galaxy would learn that even a broken girl could fight back. The unexpected buyer, the trade station, never slept. Its heart beat with noise, smoke, and neon. Yet in the quiet corners, deals were made that shaped destinies. One such deal had already been made. The mercenary had bought Lyra, the broken alien girl. But what no one knew, not even Lyra, was why? Lyra sat on the cold floor of his chamber, clutching the thin blanket he had tossed her. She had trained, struggled, and failed many times that day. Her body was bruised, her arms raw from climbing crates until she bled. Still, she had endured. But endurance could not silence the storm in her mind. She whispered to herself in the dark, "Why me? Why him? The mercenary had chosen her when no one else would. He had seen something, but what? She was nothing more than a refugee, crippled and weak. And yet he had placed his credits on her as if she were worth the gamble of a lifetime. At dawn, he woke her with a single word. Move. They left the chamber and walked through the station's underbelly. The halls were thick with shadows and rust. Lyra followed, limping but determined, her heart beating faster with every step. She could not shake the feeling that today would answer the question burning in her mind. They reached the docking bay, where ships of all sizes groaned under the weight of trade and war. The mercenary stopped near a sleek black vessel, its surface scratched but alive with hidden power. "This is mine," he said. Lyra stared in awe. She had never been close to such a ship before. Its engines hummed with quiet menace, as if promising both death and freedom. He motioned her inside. The interior was dark and cold, lined with weapons, supplies, and scars from battles long past. It was not a home. It was a fortress. He finally turned to her. "You wonder why I bought you?" Breath caught. The question had haunted her since the market, and now he spoke it aloud. "Yes," she whispered. The mercenary's face remained unreadable, but his voice carried weight. "Because you are unwanted." The words cut her like a blade. For a moment, she thought it was another insult. Her eyes burned with shame. But before she could speak, he continued, "No one wants the broken. No one wants the weak. That makes you invisible. And invisible is powerful." Lyra blinked, confused. "Powerful." He nodded. "The galaxy watches. The strong, they never notice the forgotten. That is why I chose you. Not because you are broken, but because no one else would look at you. And sometimes, the unseen strike hardest." His words unsettled her. She wanted to believe him, but doubt gnawed at her heart. Could her weakness truly be a weapon? Or was she just another pawn in a game she did not understand? As if sensing her thoughts, he stepped closer. His scarred face softened for the first time, only slightly. "I was broken once too," he said quietly. "Left for dead, worthless. But someone gave me a chance. Now I do the same for you." The confession shook her. For the first time, she saw not just a mercenary, but a man who had lived through fire and come out harder than steel. She lowered her head, voice trembling. "Then I will not waste this chance." He handed her a small device. Its screen glowed, faintly displaying a map of nearby systems. "Your training begins here," he said. "Not with weapons, with knowledge. You will learn routes, trade lines, supply paths. You will learn where the galaxy bleeds. And then, you will learn to cut deeper." Lyra studied the map, her hands shaking. This was no small task. This was not survival. This was war. Hours passed as he tested her memory, forcing her to repeat paths until her head throbbed. When she faltered, he offered no comfort, only silence and another test. But slowly, she began to see a pattern: hidden lanes used by smugglers, weak points in the Empire's patrols, secret stations that thrived in the dark. Knowledge that could turn defeat into survival. By the time night fell again, her eyes were heavy, but her mind burned with new fire. The mercenary finally spoke. "Now you begin to see. The galaxy is not fair. It will not give. It will only take. But if you know where to strike, you can take back." She nodded, exhaustion in her bones but determination in her heart. For the first time since she lost her leg, she felt something dangerous stir inside her. Purpose, but in the shadows outside the docking bay. Unseen eyes watched. A traitor who had mocked her in the market now whispered into a device. "The mercenary has taken the broken girl. Strange, very strange." Perhaps he knows something. Perhaps she is not so worthless, after all. A metallic voice crackled through the comm. Follow them. Watch the girl. If she lives, she may be useful. If not, kill them both. Inside the ship, Lyra lay awake on her bunk, staring at the ceiling. She still did not know the full truth behind the mercenary's choice. But she knew one thing. She was no longer invisible. Someone had chosen her, and others were watching. The galaxy had ignored her once. Now it would not. And the cold reality was clear: her life was no longer her own. Trust and tension, the black ship cut through space like a silent blade. Its engines whispered against the void, carrying Lyra further than she had ever dreamed of going. The galaxy outside the windows was endless stars, scattered like cold fire, planets glowing faintly in the distance. But inside the ship, silence was heavier than the vacuum outside. Lyra sat in the corner of the control room, her hands gripping the straps of the seat. The mercenary worked at the console, his scarred face lit by flickering screens. He said nothing, and for a long time, neither did she. Every now and then, his eyes flicked to her sharp, unreadable. And every time her heart beat faster, she wanted to trust him. He had saved her when no one else would. He had bought her when the world saw no value. But trust was not simple. He was a man of shadows, a man who carried secrets like weapons. Finally, she broke the silence. "Why do you not tell me your name?" The mercenary's fingers froze on the controls for half a second. Then he answered without looking at her. "Names carry weight. Mine carries too much." She tilted her head, confused. "Then what should I call you?" He turned at last, his eyes cold steel. "Call me whatever you like, but never call me your savior." The words cut deep. She lowered her gaze. Hours passed. The hum of the ship filled the emptiness. Lyra studied the maps he had given her, tracing trade lines, memorizing routes. But her thoughts wandered. Was he using her? Was she just another tool for his endless war? Or was there truth? In his words, in the way he spoke of being broken once before. Her mind spun, torn between fear and hope. The quiet shattered when alarms flared across the ship. Red lights bathed the cabin. A sharp warning beep filled the air. The mercenary's voice was low, controlled. "They've found us." Lyra's stomach dropped. Who? Enemies. Pirates. Or worse, stay down. The ship jolted violently as laser fire streaked past the windows. Lyra clung to the seat, terror flooding her veins. Through the glass, she saw 3 ships closing in, dark, sharp, hungry. Predators circling prey. The mercenary's hands flew over the controls. The black ship dove and twisted, dodging beams of fire. Sparks burst across the panels as enemy shots scraped their shields. "Hold on," he barked. Lyra's body slammed against the seat as the ship spun sharply. Her head throbbed, her breath ragged. Fear screamed in her mind, but she forced herself not to cry. Not now. The mercenary fired back, the ship's cannons glowing. One enemy vessel exploded in a bloom of fire, but 2 more pressed closer. Lyra's heart pounded. She wanted to help, to fight, to do something other than sit and wait for death. Her eyes darted across the control panels. Symbols flashed, buttons glowed, but none made sense to her. "Tell me what to do." She shouted. The mercenary didn't answer at first, too focused on maneuvering. Then he snapped the lower console shields. "Keep them alive." Her hand shook as she reached for the panel. Her fingers tapped the wrong switch, sparks flaring. "Not that." He barked. Shame burned her cheeks, but she tried again. This time, she found the right control. A deep hum spread through the ship as the shield strengthened. Enemy fire struck, but the hull held. The mercenary gave a single sharp nod. Good. Again, they fought together. He flew, attacked, and fired. She kept the shields alive, her silver eyes locked on the glowing bars of energy. Each time they weakened, she poured everything into holding them steady. Sweat dripped down her skin. Her muscles trembled, but she did not give up. One enemy ship veered too close. The mercenary fired a direct shot. Flames engulfed it. The last ship turned to flee, vanishing into the dark. The alarms faded. Silence returned, broken only by the hum of the engines. Lyra slumped in her seat, her chest heaving. She had survived. She had fought. For the first time, she had not been useless. The mercenary glanced at her, his face unreadable. "Not bad," he said simply. Her lips parted. She wanted to smile, but the tension in her chest was too heavy. Instead, she whispered, "I thought I was going to die." "You will," he replied calmly. "One day, but not today." The words chilled her. Yet at the same time, they lit a strange spark of courage inside her. Later, when the ship drifted quietly once more, Lyra approached him. "Back in the market, you told me I was invisible, that no one wanted me. But now they chase us. They want us dead. Why?" The mercenary's eyes flicked to the stars outside. His silence lasted long enough that she wondered if he would ignore her. Finally, he spoke. "Because you are not what they think you are, and maybe not what you think you are either." Her heart raced. "What do you mean?" He shook his head. "Not yet. You'll know when the time comes." That night, lying in the small bunk, Lyra could not sleep. She turned his words over and over in her mind. Not what she thought she was. What secret lay in her blood, in her broken body? Trust and fear twisted inside her chest. She wanted to trust him, but the shadows in his eyes, the secrets in his voice, kept her awake. The fire inside her burned brighter, but so did the questions. And somewhere out in the dark, the ones who hunted them whispered, "The girl must not live." The rising conflict, the galaxy outside the window, was endless. But inside the black ship, the space between Lyra and the mercenary felt even larger. They had survived the pirate attack. She had kept the shields alive. He had destroyed their hunters. For a brief moment, she had tasted strength. But strength came with questions, and with shadows she could not yet see through. The mercenary gave her no answers. He spoke little, and when he did, his words carried weight but no warmth. Yet in his silence, she sensed something more, a man holding back truths that could either save her or destroy her. Days passed in tense rhythm, training, eating, resting, and training again. He pushed her harder each day. She climbed higher crates, lifted heavier weights, memorized longer routes on the glowing maps. When her body shook and her lungs begged for mercy, he would only say, "Again." At night, her muscles screamed, but her heart burned hotter. She was no longer the broken girl holding a for sale sign. She was becoming something else, something dangerous, and yet she still did not understand why. Why had he chosen her? Why had he risked his life against pirates for her? The question grew heavier with every passing day. One evening, while the ship drifted near a dead asteroid field, the mercenary tossed her a weapon, a staff of metal and light. Humming faintly, "Defend yourself," he said simply. Before she could ask, he moved fast, precise. The staff in his hands struck toward her chest. Instinct screamed. She raised her weapon just in time, the impact jolting through her arms. Sparks cracked where the staffs met. Her heart raced. "You're trying to kill me." His voice was calm, steady. "No, I'm trying to teach you." The fight was one-sided. His strikes were sharp, calculated, each one pushing her back. She stumbled, fell, scrambled to her feet. Her missing leg made her slow, unbalanced. He did not ease his blows. Pain lit her body again and again. But each time she fell, she rose. Each time her staff clashed with his, she held it longer. Finally, with a burst of desperation, she swung wildly. The staff slipped through his guard, grazing his arm. A faint line of sparks flickered across his armor. He stopped. For the first time, she had touched him. Breathless, trembling, she whispered, "I did it." The mercenary's eyes narrowed. Then, slowly, he nodded. "Yes, you did." That night, as Lyra lay on her bunk, her arms aching, her thoughts spun faster than her heart. For the first time since she lost her leg, she felt alive. But she also felt the weight of what she was becoming. The mercenary was shaping her into a fighter. But for what war? Against whom? Her answer came sooner than expected. The next day, alarms rang again, this time, not pirates. The mercenary cursed under his breath as signals flashed across the console. "Imperial scouts," he muttered. Lyra's eyes widened. "The Empire? Here." He gave a sharp nod. "They're hunting something, or someone." His gaze flicked to her for the briefest second. Her blood ran cold. "Me?" He didn't answer. The scouts closed in fast. Sleek silver ships, marked with the Empire's burning crest. Their voices cracked over the unidentified vessel. "Surrender the alien refugee. Hand her over, and you may live." The words stabbed her heart. They weren't hunting him. They were hunting her. The mercenary's jaw tightened. "They won't stop. They know who you are. Or who you might be." Fear gripped her. "Then tell me, who am I?" His silence was answer enough. He didn't know, or he refused to say. The scouts opened fire. The ship rocked violently, sparks bursting across the panels. The mercenary cursed. "Shields won't hold long. We fight." He handed her a smaller weapon, half staff, half blade. "Stay close, and remember, fear is not your enemy. Weakness is." Her hands shook as she gripped the weapon. She wanted to scream, to hide, to beg for answers. But instead, she nodded. "I'll fight." The ship landed hard on the surface of a dead moon, dust exploding around them. The ramp hissed open, and the cold air bit at her skin. Imperial soldiers in dark armor stormed toward them, rifles raised. The mercenary moved like lightning. His blade flashed, cutting through metal and flesh. But there were too many. Shots cracked, sparks burst, explosions shook the ground. Lyra's heart pounded. She swung her weapon clumsily, blocking a strike. Fear burned her chest, but beneath it, something else stirred, something fierce. Her silver eyes flared brighter than ever before. She moved faster than she thought possible. Dodging a shot, striking back. Her weapon hummed with strange energy, as if it were alive in her hands. An Imperial soldier fell before her. Another stumbled back, shocked at her speed. The mercenary noticed. For the first time, a flicker of surprise crossed his hardened face. When the last soldier fell, silence covered the moon. Lyra stood shaking, the weapon glowing faintly in her grip. She looked at her hands, at the soldiers lying broken around her, and whispered, "What? What am I?" The mercenary stepped closer, his voice low. "That is the question your enemies already fear. And now, so should you." Lyra's chest heaved. She was no longer just a broken girl begging for a prosthetic leg. She was something else, something dangerous. But power brought enemies, and the galaxy had already chosen its side. The rising conflict had begun. The revelation, the battlefield on the dead moon was silent at last. Dust floated in the thin air, settling over the broken bodies of Imperial soldiers. The smell of smoke and metal lingered, sharp and heavy. Lyra stood frozen among them, the weapons still glowing in her trembling hands. Her breath came fast, her chest burning, her one leg aching from the fight. She could hardly believe what she had done. Moments ago, she was prey. Now she had struck like a predator. Her silver eyes flickered with fear and wonder. That wasn't me, she thought. Was it always me? The mercenary stepped forward, scanning the battlefield with cold, steady eyes. He wiped blood from his blade and looked at her. You fought, he said simply. She lowered the weapon slowly. Her voice cracked. I don't understand. I moved faster than I should. The weapon, it felt alive, like it knew me. What am I? The mercenary studied her face, then the glow in her eyes. For a long moment, silence pressed between them. At last, he spoke. I don't know, but the Empire fears you. And fear is never without reason. They returned to the ship. The ramp hissed. Closed, sealing out the dust and silence of the moon. Inside, the weight of what had happened settled over Lyra like chains. She sat on the bunk, the weapon across her lap, staring at her hands as if they belonged to someone else. Every time I think I know myself, she whispered, the truth runs away. Am I broken, or am I something worse? The mercenary leaned against the wall, arms crossed. His eyes softened only slightly. You are not broken, Lyra. You are unfinished. The word echoed in her mind. Unfinished days passed. Intense silence. They drifted through dark routes, away from patrols and war fleets. Lyra trained harder, but her thoughts circled back to the same question. Why me? What am I then? One night, the answer came not from the mercenary, but from the stars themselves. The ship's console beeped. A signal pulsed through the speakers, weak but steady. A voice, broken and distorted, filled the cabin. Lyra, if you hear this, we are alive. Her heart stopped. She stumbled toward the console, eyes wide, hands shaking. Play it again, she cried. The mercenary pressed a button. The voice repeated, clearer this time. They told us all was lost. They told us the colony was gone, but we survived. We wait for you, Lyra. We wait. The message cut off. In static, her knees gave out. She sank to the floor, tears spilling down her silver skin. For years, she believed she was the last, the only one. Her people had been slaughtered, her home destroyed. But now there was hope. They're alive, she whispered. My people. They're alive. The mercenary's face darkened. Or it's a trap. The Empire could use such a message to draw you out. But Lyra shook her head fiercely. No, I know that voice. I know it. They're alive. I have to find them. Her fire burned brighter than ever, no longer for survival, no longer for revenge, but for something far greater, to save what was left of her people. The mercenary stepped closer, his shadow falling across her. If you go after them, the Empire will not stop. They'll come harder, stronger. You've seen how they fear you. They'll burn worlds to keep you from rising. Her eyes locked on his. Then let them burn. I will rise anyway. For the first time, a faint smile tugged at the edge of his scarred face, not joy-respect. That night, Lyra sat by the window, staring at the endless stars. She touched the place where her leg once was, then looked at the weapon glowing faintly by her side. She thought of the prosthetic she had once begged for, the dream that had driven her to sell herself. But now, that dream felt small compared to what lay ahead. She didn't just need a leg, she needed to stand for her people. The prosthetic would come, but it would not make her whole. Her fire, her blood, her will, that was the true strength rising inside her. The mercenary entered the cabin, carrying a small case. He set it on the table and opened it. Inside lay a sleek, shining prosthetic leg, forged of metal and strange. Alien-tech, Lyra gasped. The leg shimmered faintly, unlike any machine she had ever seen. He spoke quietly. This was meant for someone else, but it's yours now. With this, You will run again. You will fight again. But remember, this does not make you strong. You make it strong. Her hands shook as she reached for it. The moment she touched the cold metal, something surged inside her. Energy, power. As if the leg was not just a machine, but a piece of destiny waiting for her all along. She lifted her gaze, tears shining in her eyes. Why me? Why save thee? Broken alien girl. The mercenary's voice was rough, almost human for the first time, because I was broken once too. And someone chose me. Now I choose you. Before she could answer, the console beeped again, another signal. This time, it was no message of hope. It was a warning. The Empire had found them. A fleet of ships appeared on the edge of the stars, engines burning like fire in the night. There come crackled with cold, merciless words. Alien subject Lyra. Surrender or die. The mercenaries. Hand went to his blade. Lyra's new leg gleamed as she rose to her feet, fire blazing in her silver eyes. She was no longer for sale, no longer broken, and the galaxy was about to learn it.